Hated it when my dad called me boy. But it always got my attention. He looked at me and he said, "Boy, I never thought I'd live to see this day." Well, that'll give you confidence, won't it? I thought, here I am. I'm getting ready to take on the world. You think this is something, you ain't seen nothing yet. And he's saying, "Never thought I'd live to see this day." Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I have to admit that my dad had reason to feel that way. I think it started with my birth. You see, I was born at a very young age. But not quite as young as most. You see, I was due in 1971. I wasn't born until 1972. January 21st of 1972. My mom was in labor for 36 hours when they finally decided to do a C-section. And when I came out, I was so swollen and ugly. I was this 10 pounds, 3 ounce, ugly baby. You want to know how ugly I was?
No, how ugly were you?
I was so ugly that my parents refused to buy my baby pictures. Here I am, an ugly baby. A couple years later, I'm out playing in the front yard. We lived up in northern Kentucky in a metropolitan area. Our yard was gated, so my mom would let me go out there and play, but one day she looked out there, she couldn't find me, and she came outside and she noticed I'd learned a new skill. How to open the gate. That gate was open and she couldn't find me anywhere. She ran back in the house, she called the police, and when she described me, they said, "Ma'am, I think we know where your son is." You see, I had walked 10 blocks away, across a set of railroad tracks, into a bar, sitting on a stool, chatting with a couple of chicks. Here I am, a runaway. A few years later, I'm 5 years old, and I hated my sister's Barbie dolls because she loved playing with those more than she loved playing with me. One day, there was a bunch of people all over at the house. It was a good opportunity for a 5-year-old boy to sneak in, get one of my sister's Barbie dolls. And quite a few people over there were smoking. So it was a good opportunity for a 5-year-old to steal a lighter. I took them both into my mom and dad's bedroom. I flicked my Bic. What? I'm not going to lie. But I did that day. I lit her hair on fire. I tossed it on my mom and dad's bed. Walked back into the living room, sat down and finished watching Scooby-Doo. Like I said, there were several people over the house that were smoking that night. The house was already filled with smoke, so that whole room was in flames before anybody realized it.
Oh, God.
Here I am, an arsonist. It didn't get any better when I got into school. I just struggled to make average grades. I always enjoyed going to school. Matter of fact, I enjoyed the 6th grade so well, I took it twice. I can remember the day in high school when I was a part of the choir, and music was one of those things that just really excited me as a child. And I was in the choir, and I can remember the disappointment on my choir teacher's face when I had to tell her that I couldn't perform in the concert that weekend because my grades were so low. Here I am, a disappointment. When I graduated high school, I went into college. People were surprised I would even go to college, but I did. But I continued to struggle. I'm one of those people that squeezed a 4-year degree into 6. But I finished. But about a month after I finished college, I came across a tape of a man by the name of Zig Ziglar. Perhaps you've heard of it. It was called How to Be a Winner. It was the first time that I'd ever heard somebody say that I was born to win. It was the first time I heard somebody say that failure is an event. It is not a person. It is the first time that I heard somebody say that you can't go back and make a brand new beginning, but you can start now and make a brand new ending. And I came to understand, as these quotes and others began to change my perspective, my view of myself, I came to understand that here is where I am, but there is where I will be. I went on to make some changes. I started a ministry that became very successful. I joined Toastmasters. And as a result, I began to get invitations to other organizations to share my story and my insights. And oh yeah, I went back to school to get a master's degree. It was a 3-year degree. I finished it in a year and a half with a 4.0.
Wow.
Not bad for a 6th grade flunky. Here's my challenge. Wherever your here may be, know that you're there with me.
Oh, God.
And one day you can look back and you can say, I have found my there because I never settled for the here I used to be. If my dad were right here right now, I would look at him and I'd say, boy, actually I'd never call my dad boy. I'd say, sir, you have lived to see this day. And might I add, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, wow.